It's dark in here. Is that my screen? Okay, I think we're live. Looks like we are. I don't know if anybody could hear us, but anyway, so we're live. Are you on?
I don't know if I'm on or not.
It says there's one person on.
That might be us.
Well, hello, whoever it is. Hi guys. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Let us know that you're here, and also, if you would put down in the comment section, say something, say hello or whatever, so that we'll know that you're there. We want to make sure we acknowledge you.
Yeah, maybe even let us know where you're
signaling from,
where you're at.
Yeah, we're in Oklahoma still. So yeah, no traveling lately, but anyway, if you would put where you are, which hey,
hey,
we'll wait and see. Yeah, so
I think this is only our second live stream
together,
or maybe the third.
I don't know. I don't remember.
I remember we live streamed from a hotel room one time, somewhere in the wilds of Wyoming, if I recall.
Yeah, I think so. We tried, and we didn't know whether we were on or not. So anyway,
and I know that my beloved, the Trippin' Sister here, has done many live streams on her other channel, which is the Silver Crown Natural Hair channel. If you haven't been over there already, you may want to subscribe to her channel as well, because she has lots of interesting tips and tricks for people who have naturally silver crown
don't
hair.
touch the hair.
Don't touch the hair. So thank you for coming on. If you are coming on, it says one person. That might be me, or it might be you, or it might be us. I'm not sure. But I am the Striking Viking with my co-pilot and your genial correspondent, the Trippin' Sister. And we decided to come on today to talk about why did we choose RV life in the first place. There were a number of factors which came into play. The sister grew up in the eastern United States in the middle of the city and had no experience really with camping or RV life or anything like that. Whereas I grew up on the wet coast of Canada, and I grew up camping, and we started out camping with a tent. Then my parents bought a travel trailer. Then they bought a slightly larger travel trailer. And ever since I was young and traveling with them, I always wanted a Class A RV. I thought, man, that's it. It's the bomb.com, as one of our kids says. And since all of our kids were grown and gone at the time, we thought, what better opportunity than to buy an RV? So we were living at the time. We have the house here in Oklahoma, and we also have another place up in Canada, a condominium, 2-bedroom condominium. And we thought, why don't we rent the condo and spend some time on the road? Because we both like to travel. We like to see interesting places, eat interesting foods, meet interesting new people like y'all. And so we started to look for an RV that we thought would be suitable for us. And as you know, there are many different types of RVs that are available for people. And so we spent some time looking around at what was available and what we thought would suit our purposes. We decided on a Class A because a Class C just seemed too small. We ain't neither of us small people. And the idea of bumping into each other in a Class C day in, day out was not exactly a interesting proposition. So a Class A, if we want some separation, we can go down the back in the bedroom and spend some time on the computer or whatever.
Before we go any further, the last time I tried to do a live stream, there were serious audio issues and sound issues. So right now, we don't know if you can actually hear what we're saying. If you can hear us, please put it down in the comment section. Yes, I can hear you, or no, we can't hear you, because that's the only way I'll know. I was talking before and I didn't know that my microphone was not working, and I ended up having to switch computers because somebody said we can't hear you. So please let us know in the comment section if you can hear what we're saying. And if not, then we'll try to make some adjustments, because it'd be a waste of time to sit here and just be lip syncing and and nobody can understand what we're saying. So it would be helpful if you put it in the comment section if you can hear us.
Nobody likes a mime.
Well, some people do.
I can't understand why. So we thought about RV life, and there are still some places which we have not gone, and some things we have not seen, and some new and interesting foods which we have not tried yet. But if you want to laugh, you can search down through our videos. There's a video called Muck Deuce. I won't tell you any more, but you can check it out, and you may get a laugh out of that one as well. I see nobody is chiming in just yet, but if you do comment, let us know where you're looking at us from, because many of the places that you may be from, we have been, and we can say, oh yeah, we remember where it was, where we were there, etc. So we thought about RVs, and we looked at a number of floor plans, and we knew that we wanted to buy something privately. We didn't want to go through a dealership, because we know that a lot of people have problems with dealerships and getting their RV taken care of. And we also thought that if we get a rig that has a little bit of experience but low mileage, then whoever the previous owners are have probably shaken all of the bugs out of it after the date of manufacture. So our RV is a 34-foot Pace Arrow, a 2001, which we bought privately, and we had some considerations as to what type of an RV and what we wanted in the RV, so that it would be suitable for both of us. So we both looked at floor plans, and we went on board a number of coaches. Every time we were traveling and we passed an RV dealership, we would stop in and go and see what they had on the lot and what features were available. Because as you know, there's a wide variety of features, and even some newer ones like a televator, which we don't have a televator. Washer dryer, which we don't have a washer dryer, but we do have one at the house, which is only 45 minutes away. So we can pop up and do our laundry. Not only that, but while you're traveling on the road, there's pretty well a laundromat available wherever you are. Hey, who's that?
Can you hear me, Andrea? Hey, girl, how you doing? But make sure you can hear it. Can you hear me? You remember last time on the other channel, it was ridiculous, and y'all couldn't hear me. So, okay, good. Okay.
And where are you at, Andrea? We'll give her a second to type in her location. Just in a general sense, a state or a city or whatever.
Yeah, don't give us your address.
No, we don't want your address.
We don't want your address.
No.
Oh, New York.
City.
That's right.
Now, that's interesting, because New York City is one of the places which we have not been, and one of the places which we don't plan on going to with our RV.
We'll wait.
The idea of piloting this rig
through New York City
with the dolly, with the van on the dolly,
oh man,
through the city doesn't appeal. Doesn't really appeal. Maybe if we stayed outside the city and then came in using public transport. Was it?
Oh, you was born and raised in the Bronx?
In the Bronx, one of the 5 boroughs.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. So we decided on, as we say, the Class A RV, and we looked at a lot of rigs.
You said don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
We won't do it. Traffic looks awfully tight in New York City. I'm thinking, man, I'd be having a fit. Oh my gosh.
We have been some interesting places. If you look back in our playlist, I think we have one called Brattleboro, Vermont. Oh man. I can remember we were coming in and we had to turn at a light. But first we had to get to the light. And the light was down a hill like this. And we got down to the bottom and we applied the brakes and we were waiting with the rest of the people at the light. And it was 1 lane wide. And when we got to the bottom of the hill, and I said, I think we're supposed to go this way. And we turned and quickly found out we had gone the
He was saying, we should go this way. And I was saying, I think we should go the other way. I think it's this way. So he turned and it wasn't that way.
It wasn't that way. And we had to go around, down another hill, across a bridge, across the river. And it took us into another state.
Yeah.
Maybe New Hampshire or something like that. And then we had to pull a U-turn and then go back through this congested area. Lots of tourists going across the road in between the lights, etc. I can't read that.
She says we have the world's longest parking lot, the Long Island Expressway.
Long Island Expressway.
Oh my gosh.
My gosh. Anyway, it's good to see you, Andrea. Glad you could make it. And we had... Yeah, so we bought the rig from a private individual, and it was a funny set of circumstances how we came about it. Now, what do we got here? Shirley! Hey, Shirley!
Hi, Shirley.
Yeah, well, it's not scary a lot of times, but there are a few scary episodes from time to time where you're kind of praying, grabbing the steering wheel like this. We had one of those up in Wyoming when we came down here. Yeah, so we bought the rig from a private individual. Oh my gosh, look at all these comments, honey.
Across a bridge and a river. Goat Hills.
Which?
Goat Hills.
Goat Hills. Yeah.
Across a bridge and a river.
Yep.
Y'all went up and down Goat Hills.
Yep.
That's funny.
Yep.
So?
So we bought the rig from a private individual. Now, we had looked at a lot. And we bought the rig while we were still in Canada. So you're paying Canadian prices, which are substantially, as a matter of fact, I just checked and gasoline is back up to $6.12 a gallon up there.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we're down here where it's $2.49.
Yeah.
I can't read that. Scary like the long trailer. Yeah, that was a funny movie. And a lot of what they experienced is probably a lot of what we experienced. Here, now I'm going to have to turn this. I'm looking at my phone, so there I can get the comments at the same time. Here we go. So we bought it from a private individual, and what had happened is we were looking at various different types of rigs, and we knew that we wanted something that had slides. We weren't interested in a long, skinny aluminum tube with some seats and beds bolted in.
Yeah, some people like buses. I don't care for buses. I'm a very endowed woman. My husband is not a small man. He's tall. And we didn't want anything narrow, where we're bumping into each other, just trying to live from day to day. So we decided to get something that had 2 slides.
Yep.
Yeah, it had to have 2 slides. So.
Now, Andrea, you're saying $6.12 a gallon. Yeah. And Canada produces its own gas and oil. It's all tax.
Yeah.
So if you
it's
hear
a money
people,
grab.
If you hear people talking about Canada, oh, I'd love to go Canada. It's so beautiful. Yeah, you better bring a lot of money with you because it is not a cheap place to live. I was born and raised there. And Pat, as I say, was born in a city on the East Coast. And we got married in Lawton. That's a whole different story. We're an eHarmony couple. And it was quite the whirlwind. So we purchased this from a private individual in a city that was about 250 miles away from where we lived. We saw it listed on the.
Just keep going. I
Oh.
can take care of that.
Oh, you. Oh, thank you, baby.
Mm.
So where we were living was on the coast, just up from Vancouver, about an hour north of Vancouver on the way to Whistler Mountain, if you are looking for a geographical reference. And where we bought the rig was about 4.5 or 5 hours away. It was listed. We looked at the pictures and said, "What do you think?" And so we drove up to take a look at it. And the fellow that had it, I was talking with him and I said, "Well, are you done with RV life? Are you hanging up your spurs?" And he looked me straight in the eye and he said, "Well, my wife likes Hawaii." I said, "Say no more." She just wanted to go to Hawaii and back to Canada and out to Hawaii and back to Canada. So we made a deal for the rig, and I went to the bank and got the money, and we paid him, and we transferred the ownership at the same time. And then we drove it back to our place on the coast, and the 250-mile drive, we took 6 days to do it so that we could get used to the rig and we could see a little bit more of the countryside. So we had the condominium, and we thought we can rent the condominium, and as long as we get enough money to cover the mortgage and the taxes, etc., and the HOA, and then we can do some traveling. So we rented the condo. It's a 2-bedroom condo. So what we did was we reserved one of the bedrooms as a storage, just in case we didn't like RV life as much as we thought that we might. And we put the stuff that we weren't selling and stacked it inside the bedroom. So it was stacked up to the ceiling with furniture and tables and chairs and all kinds of things. And so we rented it as a 1-bedroom for the first year. And then after that first year, we decided not only did we like it a lot. And so we ended up selling everything that was in that, or giving away everything that was in that bedroom, and then renting it as a 2-bedroom unit. And we've had the same tenant in there for the last 2.5 years, and the rent is always on time. And so that suits us just fine. Now, why RV life? A lot of people feel as though they're encumbered by their circumstances. They're in the same place, doing the same thing, under the same circumstances, and they think there must be more to life than this. And having had some experience on the road when I was younger, I know that there are other places and other things and other experiences which you can enjoy. And I know that the sister was interested in seeing other places and doing other things. So when we bought the RV, we wanted to make sure it would be comfortable for us. And the only thing that we don't have, as I said, is a washer dryer, which we do have a washer dryer at the house. And you can find a laundromat pretty well wherever you are, which we did. And we met some interesting folks even at the laundromats. We were at one laundromat in Newton Falls, Ohio, which is a little town, very pretty little town. But the town, what would you call them? Aldermen or selectmen or whatever?
The council members.
Council members. The lady that we were talking to at the laundromat, she was ranting and raving, and her husband trying in vain to stop her from ranting and raving about this town council members and the crazy decisions that they were making. You know, the one thing about RV life is you can go where you want, go how long you want, travel as long as you want, as fast as you want, or as slow as you want. Some people only travel 30 miles per day and then stop. What we found after we purchased the RV, well, we'll leave that for another video, but we'll talk about why the RV life. The satisfaction of having no strings attached to your living is a tremendous amount of satisfaction. You're looking at all those comments and smiling away, and you're not telling me what's going on.
Oh, you didn't come up for air yet, so I just thought I'd just keep reading.
Why don't you fill me in on what's...
Well, you were talking about how we rented the condo, and Andrea said as long as you don't have a crazy tenant. No, actually, our tenant is a very good tenant. We've never seen him, although we have inspected the condo once. It's really in the hands of a real estate management company, and but because we were going to be in Canada at the time, and it had been rented for 2 years, I think, at that point, or at least a year, we decided we wanted to take a look at it and make sure it was in good repair. So we let the management company know, to let the tenant know that we'd be coming through. And so they weren't there when we came, and we just went in. We knocked first, and we knew he wasn't there, but we knocked anyway because we didn't know who else might be there. And so we went in, and it was fine. It was clean. It was fine. Everything was fine. The appliances were fine. Everything was fine. And you could kind of tell he's not there that often. So I don't know if he travels a lot or whatever and just needs a place to, rest his head when he's not working or whatever. But anyhow, the rent just comes into, our Canadian account like clockwork every month. Never missed. And I think he's been there for 3 years now.
This will be his third year.
Yeah, and so we've never had any problems with him. We've not had any complaints. We had a couple of repairs we had to make, and that was that. We got that taken care of, and that was it. So we've not had any problems. We have a good tenant. I think we raised his rent once, and it was a very minimal amount. As a matter of fact, what we charge is well below market, way below market right now. And it has been for a long time. And that might be why he's not interested in moving, because if he goes anywhere else, he'd probably be paying maybe twice as much as he's paying now. And so we like the idea that he's consistent with his payments. And I guess he likes the idea that we're consistent with what we're charging. We haven't gone up on the rent except once, and that was a very minimal amount. And so it works for both of us. But I was thinking eventually we might have to go up a little bit. It depends, but we'll see. If the taxes keep going up, then we'll have to do something, right? Otherwise, everybody's getting paid but us. So that doesn't work. Andrea said whenever she traveled, she checked out the neighborhood laundromats. Listen, I wanted to ask you, do you have an RV or a camper, Andrea, or something like that you use when you travel, or you just travel in your car?
And by the way, hi, Joe. Nice to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
Hi, Joe.
And where are you?
Hi, Amber.
Joe? Hi, Amber. Nice to see you.
I'm glad you guys can hear me this time. Oh my gosh, that was a nightmare.
It was weird because it's a new computer.
Yeah, I was not.
The sister has a brand new computer. Just bought it.
I was not happy. Let me tell you, boy, I was ready to call Dale and give him a piece of my mind.
No.
Then I decided to keep that small piece.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Thank you for that. So we purchased the RV and with the intention of going traveling, and we have gone traveling. We started out in Washington State. We came across the border.
Thank you.
And
she said I look nice.
Yes.
Oh, she said you look nice too. Man of the home. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
That is hilarious. We went to a funeral, but they described the man that passed away, and they described his missus as whatever her name is. Gustella.
Of the home.
And I pointed it out in the program. I said, "Oh Lord, no, they done put her in a home."
And I said, "No, that's not what that means." Oh Lordy. Anyway.
Yeah. So we started out in Washington State, and we went across the country to Maine. We wanted to be in Maine for our anniversary and my birthday, which fall very close together. So we traveled all the way across the country. We stayed in 1, 2, 3, I think 4 RV parks on our entire trip. It was about 7,000 miles. We stayed in one park right around the 4th of July. So we get off the road so we avoid the crazy drivers for the for the holiday. We stayed in a park in Concord, New Hampshire, for 2 weeks while we traveled around looking at the area there. We stayed in a park in Missouri because we got a crack in the windshield, and the sister was afraid that the windshield would go and that she'd be sucked out. And I tried to explain to her that only happens if you're at 30,000 feet and traveling at 500 miles an hour. But still, we called our insurer and they said, oh, yeah, sure, we'll take it to the glass shop. And so we stayed there for about a week. And then we stayed at an RV park that's north of here because we didn't have this piece of land which we had purchased.
Thank you. She says she's loving the hair.
Loving the hair. Yep. Yep. And I love her hair too. Regardless of how she does it, it always looks fabulous.
Thank you.
Yep. So that really sort of answers the question. Do you have any questions for us about why RV life, or what type of RV, or
that was his version?
My version?
Yeah. Of why RV life.
Why don't you tell the folks what your version of why?
She says she likes the windshield terror story. Yeah,
we got some stories.
It wasn't my day to get sucked out the windshield. No. I thought strange things happened to me. That ain't gonna be one of them. So
if you look,
hi Scott.
Hey Scotty.
Virginia Beach. All right.
Virginia Beach. We haven't been to Virginia Beach, but perhaps we should go.
Fort Lewis, Washington. Wow.
JBLM.
Isn't that something?
Joint Base Lewis McChord.
30 plus years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. Are you a veteran, Scott? I'm a veteran.
Yeah.
So about 30 plus years ago.
Yeah, when things get a little bit hinky around here, I always say, yes, Sarge, no Sarge.
So as far as my perspective or my opinion about why RV living, would we like to keep the RV we have or go with another one? You know, it's funny you asked that because I was looking on the Fleetwood website just this morning just to see what they had out there. First of all, we put a lot of work into this one. It's 20 years old, but it's a good coach. It has very low miles on it. I think something like it's not even 50,000 miles on this coach. So the engine and everything and the generator is good. And Chris maintains, I kind of maintain the inside and he maintains the mechanical things, you know, like you guys know, we were having problems with our refrigerator. we had to deep freeze, and then our instant water heater went out, and now we had this downpour the other day and realized it was actually raining inside our windshield. So that's the next thing, you know, and we can ready to take the coach in and have a new roof put on it. And when once we get it there, I'll ask them about just resealing the window for us. Anyway, so we plan to keep this one because, you know, he knows this one and I know it somewhat. You know, I get a little confused about what system makes what thing work, but you might want to know that if you're going to be on the road by yourself. But anyway, so my reason was, well, both of us like to travel. That's one of the things that we learned about each other when we were just talking about getting married. And we've been married 13 years in August. And so that's just one of the things that we talked about before we got married. That, you know, we don't have any dependent children at home. Our children have children. So we were like, bye, y'all. And so, you know, we like to travel. So that was one thing. And we started looking around at different ones. And every time we would pass an RV place, sometimes we would go to RV shows, I guess you would call them, when different dealers were trying to push their product or whatever. And we'd go in and look and see what we liked, what we didn't like. I I'm very visual, so I was having problems with a lot of the colors and things, and all of them just seemed to be very dark to me. And then when you think about the markup and the depreciation as soon as you drive it off the lot is worse than a car to me. And so our reason for looking at RVs in these dealerships and stuff was just to get an idea of what we liked and what we didn't like. What was a deal breaker and all that. And so one of the deal breakers for me was I didn't want something 40 feet long, because most of the RV parks that exist and that are established have been around a long time, long before they were making RVs this length. And so it's a problem trying to get a very long RV in a spot that's not made for that length. You'll be sticking out in the road or whatever, you know. So I knew, and then there are certain roads that you can't travel on when they're that long, 40 feet, 45 feet. You can't travel. You can't get through certain, under certain bridges and things like that. So we wanted it to be about as long as it could be without causing problems. I wanted something 38 feet. This one is 35 feet, I think. And it's okay, you know, it's okay. I did compromise on that because I could tell that he really liked it. I wanted something a little bit longer because I wanted the bedroom to be a little bit bigger. But we do have a walk around bed, so that's good. Um, oh, really? Amber says she has a 2012 Daybreak by Thor, 38 feet. Good for you. She used to have a 2003 Fleetwood Terra, her first RV back in 2002. Good for you. I tell you what. Yeah, so the other thing was we wanted to get the mortgage in Canada paid off. And we kept trying to think of ways that we could do it. You know, I try to tell people, because I'm a life coach as well, but I try to tell people to try to have 5 streams of income, different ways that you make money in case something shuts down, you're not completely broke, right? So I was thinking, okay, what's another way that we could generate income? And it just seemed to me that when I was praying one day, it seemed to me that God spoke to me and said, "You're sitting on an asset." We were in Canada. No, we were here in Oklahoma at the time. And it seemed to me like God said, you're sitting on an asset. And I said, "What do you mean?" Now, for my non-Christian friends, just hang on. Okay, I'll get through this in a minute. Just hang on. Yeah, you'll be okay. So because I was praying, asking God, what can we do to generate income to get the mortgage paid off? Because I had already paid off my mortgage. Chris already had a mortgage. I had a mortgage when we met. And I paid my house off like 13 years early. I got rid of that mortgage. Yeah. So then I was thinking, brainstorming, how do we get rid of the mortgage in Canada? And I felt like that's what he said. And so then it was, well, where do we go? Right? If we move out of the condo, where do we go? You know, and so at the time we were having to spend 6 months in the States or 6 months in Canada or whatever. No more than 6 months in the States. And I had my permanent residency in Canada, but Chris didn't have his permanent residency here. And so we could only be here 6 months at a time. So, okay, if we move out of the condo, where do we go? So that's when we started looking at RVs. And then it was like, okay, if we find one, we got to rent we need to rent this place because that's the asset that we're sitting on. When we leave and go to the States for 6 months, the condo is sitting there empty. We're not there, but the mortgage is still getting paid.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that makes no sense. We need to be generating income, right? So then we talked about okay, maybe we could temporarily move in with a relative that needed some medical assistance and all that. But then through discussion, we came to feel that that wasn't going to be a good move, a good thing to do, because we didn't know how long it was going to take us to find an RV that we really wanted. And we didn't know how long we'd be able to actually live with this person. So without going nuts. So we thought, yeah, that's not such a good idea. Well, then we got a call from another family member who was living on the East Coast and said that they wanted to come to Oklahoma. And I'm thinking, okay. So they came to Oklahoma. Meanwhile, we're still trying to figure out where we're going to go because it was time for us to come back to Oklahoma. Well, now we can't come back to Oklahoma because we let this family member and their children stay where we would have been staying in our house in Oklahoma. So that's what pushed us ahead of time to go ahead and get an RV, because we really were going to wait for a year. After we had been looking, and we looked at, I don't know how many, a lot, and got an idea of what we wanted and what we didn't want. And for him, because he's tall, one of the deal breakers would have been if he couldn't get in the shower without bending down, or couldn't shower without putting his hands over his head. That was a deal breaker. The ceiling was too low. We weren't going to do it. So we needed a skylight or something. Yeah. And so for me, it was, not the color and the length was the thing for me. For him, it was the height and slides. So there you go. So I kind of compromise on the length, but the color is fine. It's not stark white. It's not bone white. It's a like a pecan, as you can see. But the top is more like a pecan color, and there's no problem with the shower. He can get in and shower with no problem. So that's how we picked this one, and that's how we ended up getting into an RV. So I prefer to be here, although the house that I purchased years ago is about 45 minutes from here, but it's in the city, and it's not inner city. It's not like inner city in the ghetto of the city. It's not like that, but it is in the city. It's very conveniently located. I mean, when I picked that house, I picked it because I did have children at the time and with me, and I wanted a school close by. I wanted a hospital close by. I wanted laundry facility until I got one, and I wanted a grocery store very close by and a pharmacy. And so where my house is located, everything is right there within a block or two. And that's why I picked that house and that location. And so I've been there I've had that property for about 35 years, but I prefer being here. In this, I never thought I could be in something this small. When I left that house and moved to Canada into the condo, which was half the size of my house, I just felt like I was just bumping into the wall. Every time I turned the corner, I was bumping into the wall. Every time I went outside, I'm looking at the same neighbor. Didn't I just see you? It's like, because it was a very small town. Before I moved up there, I remember looking at it on the internet, on Google, and I'm thinking, they have one traffic light. Are you kidding me? And I come from Philadelphia, which is a very large city. And so to go from living there to living in Europe for 5 years, and then living in Oklahoma with a population, in a city with a population of, at the time that I moved there, was something like 86,000. It's grown now to like 121,000.
Yeah,
and And that's including Fort Sill military installation there. I used to be stationed there. And so it's grown. It's starting to get a little bit crowded. So I like it here. Um, if you want to be able to go someplace where there ain't nothing going on, yeah, this is the place to be. There ain't nothing going on here. We're sitting on 9 lots of land, and we tell people, listen, if you pass it through, we got room. Stop by and say hi, because we have plenty of room here, you know. And anyway, so that was one of the things that led to us. If we hadn't got the call from the family member, we had planned on just putting it off for a year. But that happened, so that kind of pushed us to go ahead and make the move and buy this RV. And like Chris was saying, it was a private sale. We knew we didn't want to go through a dealer. We even looked for RVs here in the States, but we kept hearing these nightmarish stories about them being imported to Canada, you know, and the expense and all that. Well, wonder of wonders, when we found this one, we were looking on, I don't know which.
I think it was Craigslist.
It could have been Craigslist. Mm-hmm. Anyway, when we were looking on there and we looked at this coach, we found out that this was an American-made coach that had been shipped to Canada already. Yeah. So the duty had already been paid on it to get it to Canada. So now we were calling Customs and Border to find out, how do we get it into the United States? Yeah. You know, what are we going to have to pay? Yeah. So we were letting them know, and then they were asking us these questions and VIN number and all this kind of stuff. We'll come to find out, because it was an American-made coach, we didn't have to pay anything to bring it down here. So we were like, yes. So anyhow, so that worked out. And that's how we ended up in this. And so we've been in this one for 6 years. It'll be 6 years next month, I think.
Yeah. We imported it into the United States 3 years ago, in 2018. And all we needed to have was a clearance letter. They say FVMSS, which stands for Federal Vehicle Motor Safety Standards or something like that. We just needed a clearance letter from the manufacturer stating that all of the regulations which were in place at the time were complied with.
Yes. And so they sent us a letter by email.
Yep.
And we printed the letter off and we presented it to Customs. When we got to the border, they wanted to inspect the vehicle, of course, but they were looking for contraband. You know, they were looking for, are you bringing any meat? Are you, you know, same stuff they would normally do. But they also wanted to make sure that it was that we had that letter from the manufacturer, because we asked Customs, what paperwork do we need to bring with us to the border? Because we didn't want to get there and now we're missing something and then they turn us around, we have to go back or whatever.
Yes.
And so when they told us what we needed, we contacted Fleetwood, and they contacted whoever. And then we got the paperwork. They emailed it to us. We printed it off. We carried it with us. And it was no problem. You know, we went in, sat down, waited for them to do their inspection. We had a lady officer that came in, and I think all she did was, you know, open the bays, make sure we weren't transporting any wood, or raw vegetables or meat. And we didn't. We had eaten everything. We made sure we had emptied all that out before we crossed over. And then as soon as we crossed over, we went to the store and had bought some groceries. But so that's why we chose RV life. It wasn't because we did not like being in a house. It was because we were generating an extra stream of income. Now, that might sound counterproductive because you figure, well, being in an RV can be expensive. Well, yeah, if you're moving around all the time. It can be, believe me, it can be very expensive. But we did a lot of traveling. We went from Canada. Yeah. And that's the other thing, right? We cut down on our expenses because we did not stay in RV parks a lot. If we were doing a long haul trip, then I would suggest that we pull off the road once a week, just for 2 days or 3 days, so that Chris could rest and we could empty our tanks, refill our tanks, and get back on the road, you know, in a couple of days. Or if we needed any maintenance done, like when the windshield cracked and I was going to get sucked out. So we decided we needed to go to an RV park or somewhere so that we could be close to a repair shop that could take care of that. Yeah. So
Scott wanted to know what your MOS was. And thank you, Scott, for your service.
I was a 96 Bravo, 95 Bravo. Oh my gosh. My first MOS was food service, food service, sanitation and safety. And when I was stationed at Fort Sill, I would teach soldiers sanitation and safety for the mess hall, to prepare for inspections and stuff like that. When I was in Europe, I was brigade supply of 76 Papa, and I was brigade supply. So I was in charge of the trucks and stuff like that, Yeah. And that was because it was brigade supply, but I was assigned to a unit supply place because there was no slot for me. Even though I had taken the training and everything at Fort Lee, there was no slot for me there. So anyway, and there was no slot for me when I came back here. So my last 2 months in the military, I stayed home. They could not contractually force me to work outside of my MOS, and they didn't have a slot for me. So I just said, "Hey, Top, can I just call in the mornings?" He looked at me like I was crazy. I said, "I'm not going anywhere. I live here. I have a house here. I'm here. Can I just call you? You're going to have to come in for formation." Okay. So I come in for formation, then turn around and leave and go home. I did that for 2 months. And they finally said, okay, you don't have to come in, but you need to call. Okay, so I would call. So that's where I was.
Scott also says that he sent us a message a couple of years ago. They were 88 Mike with 6 years of service, and for Alberta and 8 years for Scott. I'm taking it Alberta is your SO. So Mike, Scott and Alberta. And Indria had said, why is there a difference between Canada and the United States? You wouldn't think it was necessary. However, we have many, many layers of government collecting fat checks from the federal government in Ottawa as inspectors and functionaries. And even though the broccoli that's grown in, let's say it's grown in northern Mexico and shipped into the US, if it gets shipped into Canada, it has to be inspected again to make sure it's still broccoli. And we were amazed when we brought the car down here. We talked with a federal inspector in Oklahoma City to do the paperwork. And there was a glass display case with a bunch of highly prohibited items. You can do federal time if you bring any of these items in. And one of them, if you've ever been outside the country, is a Kinder egg. Now, what is a Kinder egg?
Yes.
A Kinder egg is an egg made of chocolate, milk chocolate, with a little toy inside for the kids. Well, even though it says on the outside, choking hazard, do not give to any child under 3 years of age, that still isn't good enough. It's still highly prohibited. Yeah. So if they catch you with a trunk full of Kinder eggs coming back from Canada, oh man, I'd hate to imagine.
There's a couple of questions on here. Okay, and you wanted to know, where was I in Europe? I did 2 tours in Europe, and my first tour, I was in a place called Aschaffenburg, West Germany, and my second tour, I was in a place called Krausheim, Germany. So that's where I spent my 5 years. And but I didn't live on posts. I lived out on the economy. Yeah, that was interesting. But anyway, let's see. Why does the food matter when traveling to and from? Well, because one of the reasons is because there are bugs and things that are native to each specific country, and it can become an invasive thing if it crosses the line, right? Goes into another country, and it can destroy crops and stuff like that. So I remember we were traveling through I can't remember where it was, but the lady stopped us, a forest ranger stopped us and asked us if we had wood. I said, wood? Do you remember that?
Yep.
Where were we?
That was on traveling through from Oregon into California.
California.
And it was, I think, the last remaining inspection station. They used to inspect all the time. She wasn't looking for wood. What she was looking for was citrus fruit.
Yes, fruit.
Because
well, she did ask about the wood too, but she asked about fruit. And I was like,
we had quite a nice chat with her. She was a lovely person.
She was a nice lady. Yeah. But that was the strangest thing. And I asked her, I said, did you say wood? And she said, yeah. I'm like, we're traveling through the forest. And she said, do you have wood? And
do you have wood? No, we haven't got any wood. You want some?
I was like, wood? And she said, because of the bugs.
Yeah.
Because of the different bugs that are native to certain areas that can become an invasive pest somewhere else, like the Asian carp, for example, that are just, oh my gosh, they're destroying the waters and eating up the other fish, and they're Asian carp. So.
Indra said, Kinder eggs? Seriously? Bureaucrats.
Yeah. yeah.
Now there is a tie-in to your angry person bureaucrat comment. I have found I'm still Canadian. I've got my green card.
Legally.
I'm a legal alien.
Legal.
When we looked at what the requirement was for me to come down here, there are many forms to fill out, and yes, there are fees.
And many dollars too.
And I always thought that, if worst comes to absolute worst, I could probably just wade across the Rio Grande, call myself Jose, and that would probably fit me into a different category. However, as the spouse of an American, I'm under a certain category. And believe it or not, in June of this year, I can apply for my citizenship. Woohoo! I could become an American. God bless America.
Well, he had to make it through 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
Of residency without incident. So, even as a permanent resident here, you have to pay taxes just like you're a citizen.
Yep.
And so we filed taxes every year.
Yep.
And he can't get in trouble with the law. Can't vote. Can't vote until he becomes a citizen. Even though, when I was working the polls, the county election board was asking, would your husband like to help? And I said, well, he can't, because, and they said, we think he can. I said, well, I know he can't vote. And so we called the State Department.
And we called the Federal
Federal Election Commission, and we called immigration to find out, is this a problem? Because they want him to help at the polls, like setting up signs and stuff like that. But he knows he can't vote, right? And they said, that's not a problem, but no, he can't vote. And so, he didn't. And because we didn't want to mess up anything, him becoming a citizen.
Yep.
Now things are so crazy. I'm asking him, you sure you want to be?
Yes.
You sure you want to become a citizen?
What's going on north of the line?
Yes, I have. And oh boy, but so it's kind of a weird deal, right? I have permanent residency there and he has permanent residency here. So, but I've been a permanent resident of Canada for 11 years. 11 years.
Yeah,
so
the thing about
actually 12 years, because I got it within my first 10 months of being there.
Yes.
So I've been a permanent resident of Canada for 12 years.
Yes, and they had the unmitigated gall to ask her, did you want to become a citizen?
They've asked me that twice. Because I went to renew my residency twice. And they asked me twice. They say, you're eligible, right? And the jury's still out on that, because I
believe her exact words were, I'm a citizen of the greatest country on the face of the earth. Why would I want to become a Canadian?
Well, it wasn't that I didn't want to. It was the things I saw that turned me off from doing it. The bureaucracy with the government was just ridiculous. I thought, why would anybody want to do this? And so when I hear people say, oh, I'm going to Canada, I'm like, well, visit, visit and get a feel of the place and then decide if you really want to hook your wagon to that, because it is not like here. It is different. It's a different country. And people get confused. They think, oh, I'll just drive across and go skiing or whatever. Oh, it's beautiful there. It's beautiful here. We got mountains, we got rivers, we have lakes, we have ocean, we have that, and we have everything they have, except we don't have no glaciers. But but we have
got glaciers.
What? Where?
Glacier National Park.
Oh, that's right. Well, see, we even got that.
Exactly.
So,
that whole thing about the bureaucracy, I have found that in my dealings with American bureaucrats,
yes,
through the immigration department and whatnot, that the people that work for the government in immigration or at Social Security or whatever, they really want to be helpful. They really do. They're courteous and they're helpful. And in Canada, it's the exact opposite. They are neither courteous nor are they helpful. And if you call in with a question, their first answer is no.
It really is. I mean, before they even try to help you, they just it's a default position of no. We can't help you. No, we're not able to help you. And then you have to press them, to get anything done. And I thought, why is this like this? Let me answer some questions. Is permanent residency the same as dual citizenship? No. No,
that's the short
no, it's not. And Scott said that he was in Kaiserslautern. Okay, K-Town, yes. Largest U.S. community in Europe. 3 years, 1984 to 87, 37th Transportation Group. U.S. Army over-the-road truckers. Well, you go ahead with your bad self. That's all right with me. All right now. Thank you for your service, because you know what? You might have been trucking some stuff over to me. That I needed to get. That's the only way it would get to me.
You know what they say? If you got it, a trucker brought it.
A trucker brought it. That's right. That's right. So you know what? And that's a transferable trade too. So you get out of the military driving trucks or whatever, you wouldn't have any problems driving an RV or driving a truck here.
Yeah.
So thank God everything ain't on the opposite side of the road like it is over there in England. Woo, Lord. Yeah. But anyways.
Every truck we pass on the road has a sign saying, "Drive for us, call about more information." You get a bonus if you refer somebody in to drive for that particular company. And the rates are slowly but steadily creeping up because a lot of people in our age group are retiring off the road now. So they're looking for people who want to drive truck. And now, believe me, there are a lot of people who would just never consider that as an occupation. We've been trying to talk to our grandson. Listen, if you get your CDL and go to work, within 4 years, you'll be making $100,000 a year, and you will own your own house, because he doesn't have any idea what he wants to do. And if you ask him a question, his default position is, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, he's only 18, so he doesn't know. But anyway, do we have any trips planned for the summer? We don't yet. We actually had planned to be back in Canada by now, but then, when they shut down the whole world, we got stuck here. And it's a good thing that Chris had his residency, or we'd have been in trouble. I don't know what would happen when we got to the border. They probably would have. They said if you were a permanent resident or a citizen, you could come back in. What they didn't say was they were going to charge you $2,000 to come back in, and then they were going to forcibly quarantine you in a hotel, because they are doing that. Yeah. And that's why we're still here. I'm thinking, I'm not paying $2,000 to sit in no hotel when I'm in my RV. No, I'm in my house, so I'm not doing that. And
they're interning people when they fly in.
They are.
When you land at the airport, they will cart you off to a hotel. A 3-night stay at a hotel, even if you have a negative COVID test, they're charging $2,000. If you decline to take the test, which is your right, and you want to self-quarantine, they're charging $3,500.
Yeah. For what? They're punishing you for going home.
Yeah.
So I don't need the drama. So we're still here. And if we I don't know where we would go. Because see, that was the other thing that happened, you guys. And if you have an RV or you travel, whatever, you found this out, that when they shut down the world, they shut down RV parks, and people that had already paid to be there for 2 weeks or a month, they had membership with Thousand Trails or whoever they had memberships with, it did not matter. They booted you out, And there were a lot of RVers and van dwellers and people that had nowhere to go. It was ridiculous. No, you can't park here. No, you can't go. The state parks were closed. RV parks were closed. City police wouldn't allow you to park on the street. There was nowhere to go. And so before that happened, before they shut the whole world down, the powers that be, I had talked to Chris and I said, usually when we travel, we boondock. And when we weren't traveling, during those 6 months that we might be here and we left the coach in Canada, it was in storage. Now we weren't paying a lot for storage, but we were paying for storage. And I thought, you know what? Why don't we just buy our own land? And then if we don't feel like traveling and we don't feel like being in the coach, we just go to the house and we can park the coach on our own land, right? So we found these 9 lots. We actually found 6 lots that came with nothing. It was just the 6 lots. And then I kept feeling like we were supposed to have the next 3 lots right adjacent to this that had a derelict house on it. So we bought these 4 lots, 4 lots first. 6 lots first. Plus 3. And then so we worked out that deal, bought that. Nobody owned it or anything. It was just a land, sitting here. And then I felt like we were supposed to have those other 3. So we got that and found out that lady had passed away in 2011. And so the house just sat there derelict, and it was full. She was a hoarder. And so it was full of all kinds of craziness. And her family lived in Texas, and they were tired of coming back and forth, trying to clear the house out. And so we went through the county to find out who the owner of that house was, was it anyone else? And they directed us to the family that was in Texas. So we got in touch with them, worked out a deal with them to buy that house and for free and to buy the lot. And the lady was trying to get me to pay for the house. I said, the house is not livable. It's not an asset. It's a liability. I have to pay to have it torn down. I'm not paying you for the house. I said, now, if you want to continue to pay taxes on land and property that nobody can use, you go ahead. And you let me know what you decide to do in the future. So we went on a trip, came back. The papers were in my mailbox. She was like, I guess she had a conversation with her husband. Why are we paying taxes on property nobody can live in? And so we ended up by having all 9 lots.
It's 3/4 of an acre altogether.
And you know what our taxes are? Get your coffee. You're going to need it for this one. Our taxes every year for 9 lots is $28. That's it. Where our RV is sitting right now, there used to be a single wide trailer years ago. When we bought the land, there was nothing here. But the pad, the cement pad that the trailer sat on was still here. So we decided, well, we'll sit our RV on that. It's a solid surface. The services were already here. We had to make a little bit of adjustments with the sewer because somebody, I think when they moved the trailer, they broke the sewer line or something. But Chris knew how to fix that. So he fixed, yep, that's right, $28. I ain't mad.
There's a couple of comments here regarding, Indria says, you haven't seen unhelpful until you deal with New York civil service departments. There are a few people that are good, scattered here and there. And then don't go back to Canada. Please don't. And Amber says, I remember crossing from the border from Canada from Alaska. It was like interviewing for boot camp.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a story about that when we drove up and we were in the van, which has Oklahoma registration, Oklahoma tags, Oklahoma insurance.
My goodness!
And I have an Oklahoma driver's license,
and I have a Canadian driver's license.
And we arrived at the border, and he said, "You can't drive that. You can't bring that into Canada." And I said, I've got all the paperwork and all of that."
He said, "It's our vehicle."
Yeah.
Well, you can't drive it here. Then he calls for backup as if we're criminals. We're in our vehicle with current insurance. He has a U.S. driver's license.
Yep.
The car's in both of our names.
Yeah.
I have a Canadian driver's license,
Yeah.
so we could drive it either place,
Yep.
right? And the guy is telling us we can't drive it. I said, let me see if I understand something. Are you telling us that we can't drive our own vehicle that's registered to us and we have valid driver's licenses? So now he's getting irritated, so he calls for backup, right? He was a young guy.
A senior agent.
He calls for 2 senior agents. So they come out. One of the guys knew that the guy didn't know what he was doing. He's sitting down watching me and he's smirking, right? And he's kind of put his head down. And I said, so you're telling us that we cannot drive our own vehicle. Somehow we're breaking the law. Well, and the other guy that was there was just kind of telling him, man, let him go through, right? And the other guy just kind of looked at me and smiled like, he's young, give him a break, right? I'm just shaking my head like these people have lost their mind.
Yeah.
What is the reason that we can't drive our own vehicle? And what do you do when people actually rent a vehicle? And that ain't even their vehicle. They rented that to drive it across the border. Oh, they can do that, but we can't drive ours? That's crazy. Anyway, yeah.
He was young.
So that kind of frustration did not, it didn't increase my love. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Now Andrea said, where is this that they're charging you $2,000 for quarantine? That's in Canada.
Canada.
You arrive from another destination. There was one lady that came in and she was down south. She was in Arizona and she came back and she said, I have 2 houses. They're both empty. I can stay in them. I'm going to, and they still didn't want to let her go. They were going to force her into this quarantine hotel, which has a rack rate of $65 a night, and they're charging $2,000.
No, it's $700.
$700.
It's normally it would be $65
a night,
but now they're charging $700 a night, and they're making you stay there for a minimum of 3 days.
Yep.
Then you have to self-quarantine for another 14 days at home, and let me tell you, they will track you. They will track you. They people have had the police come to their door and find them because they left the quarantine place, went to the store to get food. They had to get food. They're coming off of a trip, right? So they have to get groceries, and they show up at their house and write them a ticket.
$1,750
because they did not go straight home.
Yeah.
And then at the hotel, they've taken the locks off the doors, the internal locks, so that people can get into your room, but you can't secure it from the inside. And there's been some sexual assaults that have happened from some of the staff members at these hotels. It's disgusting and it's ridiculous. And I'm not going to subject myself to that. It's ridiculous. So yeah, no, they want to keep it locked down forever. If they want to turn the country into a prison, well, they can go right ahead. As far as I'm concerned, the citizens need to say something about this.
And they're starting to speak up
rather than just allowing their right to travel freely be trampled on like that. You know, it's ridiculous. So especially when you're willing to cooperate and you're willing to go home and just, okay, I'll just stay home. I'll work from home if I can. And you can't even go get food. How are you supposed to feed yourself?
Exactly.
You know, and it's the same thing with the hotels.
They won't even let you order pizza.
They won't allow any food from the outside. You can't order anything. You can't go get anything, nothing. And there's been people that have specialized diets. Some people don't eat meat. Some people have allergies and stuff like that. They don't care. You just have to eat whatever they give you, and that's it. And so I'm not going to subject myself to that.
Heck no.
I was born free.
That's right.
And I intend to stay that way.
That's right.
Don't pay him no mind. Anyway.
Amber says, yeah, exactly. She's been looking for land in Arizona for a long time, but they're so strict as to what you can put on it. Northern Arizona up around Flagstaff, a lot of people are buying up around there, and you can put whatever you want on it. Star Bell, and it's nice to see you, Star, and thanks for chiming in. $28, that's a blessing. Yes, it is.
I know. A year.
Here's the deal. When we were boondocking in Canada, we kept track of our expenses. We had gas for the generator, in case we wanted to watch some TV or whatever, gas to go back and forth to the gas station, and propane. And we kept track of it over a couple of months, and it worked out to $76 a week.
Yeah. So it can get expensive RV life can be expensive if you're traveling around all the time in a vehicle this large. This is not an economy vehicle. It's going to cost you.
Yeah.
When we traveled from Canada here to Oklahoma, it took us 2 weeks. And that's because we drive very slow in order to keep the gas mileage pricing down. We drive very slow. We just let people pass us. Go ahead on. If you want to go ahead. You get the ticket. We just gonna take our time. And
plus, we prefer to travel by secondary roads. They call them blue highways rather than the interstates. On the interstate, you know what you see? You see the road ahead of you, and occasionally a travel plaza. And on the secondary
and a traffic
highways,
jam, and a traffic jam.
On the secondary highways, you see a lot of small town America, a lot of scenery. So we generally set the cruise control right around 50 miles an hour, and then we're chatting away back and forth, listening to music, looking at the scenery. And it's a very more civilized way to travel, shall we say. We will slab it if we need to hit the superhighway and just push straight on through if we need to make the miles. But we're not in that much of a rush, to tell you the truth.
No, we take our time wherever we go. And that's the other thing. We may plan to go somewhere, but we take our time getting there, right? We don't say, well, we got to be there by this amount of time, because then, you create a lot of stress for yourself. Now, I know with some people, maybe they have to do that. They have to be somewhere by a certain time. If you have a membership at one of these RV companies or whatever, and you got to be there by a certain time because that's your reservation slot, right?
Yeah.
We don't do that. Like I said, we'll pull off in an RV park if Chris needs to rest, or we need to stop anyway to do laundry. And sometimes we don't even stop there to do laundry. We'll just find a town. We'll look on Google Maps for a laundromat. We'll find a place to park. And then, we'll take our laundry to the laundromat, meet some of the townsfolk, get our laundry done, get back in the rig and go. So, yep. But we try to keep our expenses down. The good thing about living here, hey, you guys, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, because I'm seeing who's on and I'm seeing how many thumbs up, and the numbers ain't matching. I'm just saying. So anyway, one of the good things about being where we are is that we usually make a trip to the house once every couple of weeks. Yeah. And our freezer here, which we just replaced our refrigerator. Go watch that video. But anyway, our freezer here holds about 2 weeks worth of food for us. Yep. And so by the time, we get to 2 weeks, then we know we got to make a trip in, do some laundry. We go to the house, and we might spend a week there, catching up on things around the house, taking care of the chickens, making adjustments on the coop or the run or whatever. Yep. And then we get our laundry done, and I'll grab some food out of our deep freeze and bring it back in the cooler and restock our freezer and our refrigerator and whatever perishables, like milk or whatever. And then we'll just stop at the store. The nearest store is like 10 miles away. We'll stop at the store on the way back and pick up milk, and perishables. I'll get the eggs from the house because our hens lay, right? And we'll bring the eggs back with us and all that. But we keep our expenses down. I think the most expensive thing here was the propane. And that's because it got so cold and everything had shut down anyway, and these businesses were struggling. So the propane for 3 months was like $117. Something like that.
It works out to about between $25 and $30 a month on an annual basis. The company that we have here locally brought us what they call a pig. Or they don't call it a pig. It's a propane tank that holds 100 gallons. So whenever it gets down to around 20%, we can call them and they'll come by with the truck and refill it. Now the price of propane has gone up, which I discussed with her. And but we had that cold snap, which many of you may have experienced if you're anywhere in the center of the country. And it was cold.
Yeah.
It got to one time, it was about minus 21 with the wind chill. So who was out working on the frozen water? This guy.
Yeah, I ain't got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I got time for that.
I didn't have time for it either, but we wanted water. So I got
Yep.
out there and worked on the water. And so, yeah, it was pretty cold. And we got about between 8 and 10 inches of snow altogether. So I had to shovel a path out to the road, which was about 75 feet, so we could get out with the car. And
but the good thing is, if you guys saw that video, is that even though the freezer went out, it was so cold outside. We just piled all the food into the cooler and sat it outside.
Buried in a snowbank.
And buried it in the snow, and our milk froze. So we had to take it out. We'd take the milk out and put it in the back of the van where it could warm up a little bit, but it was minus 21. That was the chill. Yeah, the actual temperature was minus 17, I think it was.
I think it was about minus 12.
It was cold. It was cold. If a Canadian says it's cold, it's cold. So because usually in December he's in shorts. Yeah. I got a scarf on, but he's in shorts, but
it went from cold to viciously cold to brutally cold to punishingly cold.
Yeah,
the kind of cold that when you're outside and you come back inside, even though it's warm inside, you have to take a shower. And you take a shower and it'll warm up the meat.
Yeah, but
the bones are
still cold.
It's
yeah,
right, cold in the bones.
Yep. Ours does too. Amber says my fridge runs off of a propane or sure electric. Yeah, ours does too.
Yeah, propane electric.
Yeah. They're making refrigerators now that run on what is it? AC, DC, whatever it is.
DC. They have
as well. I mean, it does all three.
Yeah. Three-way fridge.
Yep. Yeah. But we got this one, so we had
replaced. If you look back, 2 years, we had replaced the cooling unit on that refrigerator before, and the company that sold it to us, it had the serial number on it, and it had lifetime guarantee on it, etc. So when we had problems with the cooling unit, I called. This number is out of service. So I looked around and found out, they went out of business. So we had to order another cooling unit, which we got a brand new one. That is, they call it Amish made. And it has a 3-year warranty on it or 2-year warranty or something like that.
Yeah, you guys might have seen the video on that where
we have another video.
He was putting that back together, and I was helping him with that. We replaced this refrigerator before when we were in Canada.
Yeah.
And getting it was heavy. I mean, we were using towing straps to lift it down out of the cubby hole that it sits in. But then I thought, you know what? I don't have the upper body strength to help him lift it back up. So we had some friends in Canada that came by to help him put it back up on that shelf, because it's about 2 feet, a foot and a half, 18 inches or so off the floor. Yeah, it sits up, it's not like a regular refrigerator that sits on the floor. So that was challenging. But this time I had a plastic container that was just about the right height. Yeah. And I had flour and sugar and stuff in there because, Mr. Whiskers likes to come by every now and then and eat up the food. So I started putting stuff in plastic containers. And I thought, you know what? That container looks like it's about the right height. If we slide it right in front of the refrigerator and then just kind of shimmy the refrigerator out, we won't have to lift it. Not but so far anyway, So that's what we used.
She's the thinking side of this relationship.
He's the hands-on person. I just strategize a lot.
I'm not a professional, but I play one on TV. No, I can usually figure it out. If there's a problem, I can usually get it squared away.
Amber says she doesn't drive faster than 65 miles on a major highway.
Mr. Whiskers, yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the winds. Yeah. It sure does. So we do like 55. I think 50, 55. But it's big. It's, of course yours is big too, Amber. And yours 38 feet, you said. Ours is 35. But then when you have this and you have a tow dolly and you're pulling a van, I think
lots of following distance.
we're up to about 45 feet or more than that, you know, but yeah.
56 or 57, I think.
Yeah, it's yeah, Mr. Whiskers. Mm-hmm.
When we had the coach in storage, we came back. Well, we were here. The coach was in storage in Canada. We went and bailed it out of RV jail, and took it to a park. On that occasion, we were staying at a park, and we got it in and we got it hooked up and whatnot. And then I went down to the bedroom and I lifted the bed up, and I went, "Oh no!" And
I
the
said,
sister said, "Oh no,
"Oh,
what?"
what?"
And in our absence, Mr. Whiskers had decided to come in and have some fun. We had some beans and rice and some sugar stored underneath the bed. He came in, and not only that, but I think he invited his family, because there was lots of activity, and we ended up having to take everything out of the cupboards.
Oh my God!
Wipe everything down with Lysol.
We had to sterilize the whole coach. It was crazy. I mean, because you know, hantavirus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there ain't no cure for that. So I thought, oh my God, you know, we gotta sterilize everything. So we're in here. I'm wearing masks, wearing gloves, taking everything out of the cabinet, spraying it down with Lysol, letting it sit, and then making a mild bleach and water solution and wiping everything down, washing everything. And when he lifted up the bed, that's where we keep our extra blankets and stuff. And I thought, well, you know what? I had a few things of some beans, some rice, because there was nowhere else to store it, put it under the bed. And yeah, came back. All of the beans were split in half. All of them split in half, and all of them were piled up in one little corner. And then I had this very expensive quilt that was wool and something else. Very nice. Very nice. I've never been able to find another one like it. And he's saying, "What in the world is this?" Right? And I went and looked at it. I was like, "What is that?" They had so dismantled it. You couldn't even tell what it was. Yeah. And then I said, "That's my blanket," right? It was my quilt. They had this thing is a queen size thing. You didn't even know what it was. It was just all taken apart, very neatly placed in there. So they made a bed, but you know what? I'll tell you something.
And the kitchen gloves.
Yes, they ate the oven mitts. I guess because maybe it had some food particles on them that I didn't see. Yeah. They ate how you eat an oven mitt? Anyway, Mr. Whiskers and the gang decided they were going to just, but you know, they had a grand old time in here. I'll tell you, they didn't get up here. And the only reason they didn't get up here, I guess, is because they had so much down here. They didn't have to go anywhere else. They had plenty of food. The rice was gone. I'm thinking, oh my gosh. So anyway, yeah. So now we keep mouse traps just in case.
Yeah. Amber is referring to the dancing Kia mice. They're actually hamsters or hamstars, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, they were making their way. They were making their home in the rig.
Meet my friend, Mr. Whiskers. Meet my friend, Feline Fraulein.
Feline Fraulein.
That's funny.
Yeah, we don't actually keep any pets. We have had pets at times, and we still have the chickens up at the house. But we don't keep any pets on board because it's just,
Well, it's a small enclosed space, and I don't want the smell of an animal in here. So, and I like to, I've raised animals my whole life. Everything from rats to cats, ferrets, birds, dogs, geese. Chicken.
And she's talking about getting a goat.
Amy the goat. Amy. I want 2 goats. Three goats. Buster, Amy, and Violet. Yeah. And I hadn't decided, but you know what? If I do that, then we have to commit ourselves to not traveling anymore, because you can't have a farm and not tend to your animals. You have to tend to your animals. So anyway, I guess when Mr. Viking decides that, okay, that road is starting to beat me up, and I'm too old to be doing it, I ain't driving this thing. I'll drive it when he's dead. To somebody else's. I'm not driving it. I told long you can drive it. I ain't driving it. I could drive it.
Yes,
I could.
Because she's driven a 5-ton before.
But I don't want to. No thanks.
Hamsters, cats, and a skunk. Skeek. Oh, skink. Yeah.
What's a skink?
It's a little lizard.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't like reptiles or arachnids. No, thank you. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, so that's why we chose RV life. Family circumstances, and just wanting to release, a desire to travel and wanting to release that asset that we were sitting on. It was just sitting there empty 6 months out of a year.
And he's still paying
Every year,
Yeah.
you're still paying the mortgage. Forget that. We need to rent this and get some money. So if you guys are thinking about that, getting an RV, I think the best thing to do is to sit down and think what are the things that you feel like you have to make it a comfortable lifestyle for you, and what are the things that are a deal breaker, something that you just don't want to deal with. And one of the things for me is we talked about it, but we haven't done it, and that was to get solar. We get some vicious hailstorms here. I mean, we can, and it can break your solar panels. So I thought about the kind that are flexible. You can roll them up and put them away. I thought about that. I would not want to mount them on the roof because you have to get up there every so often and clean them off. If they get too much dirt, you got to clean them off, right? So I don't want Mr. Viking climbing up on the roof.
No, she's convinced that I'm going to drop off the roof, land on the ground, break my leg off, all my blood come out. You ain't leaving me that way. No, you ain't leaving me that way.
So, yeah, well, ever since he had that accident that he had.
Which one?
Which one? Yeah, see what I mean? That's why I don't want him up there. That's right. Which one? That's why I don't want him up there on the roof, because no, not you. So that's why we're gonna take it to the shop. I will pay the money to recoat the roof because no.
I don't think it's been done since the coach was new, and there are a couple places when a real heavy rain, you'll get a couple of drips inside.
Yeah. But, so before it gets really bad, I'm just gonna have them fix it.
Yeah, that's very kind of you, Amber. You believe that Mr. Viking can fly. Well, I probably can fly for a very short period of time. It's the landing.
Yeah,
that's the hard part.
I don't know where were we. I don't know where we were, but anyway, we were in Canada and we were leaving to go somewhere. Might have been to Maine. I don't know. Maybe we were coming here, but he forgot to put the steps out, and it was 5 o'clock in the morning. It was dark.
Was in Canada.
It was dark. He forgot to put the steps out.
We were going to come down here. Yeah.
And he opened the door. He had a handful of stuff that he was going to take to the van, and he forgot to put the steps out.
Well, I think I must have bumped the switch, and the steps retracted.
Yeah, but you would have heard that.
I don't know. It was very early in the morning, and I was taking stuff out to the van. And I took the first step out of the doorway and
onto thin air.
It was that long step. And when I hit the ground, my ankle went like that. And my darling was still in the bed while I was loading the car. But I think it was the high girlish shriek that woke her up. And I was wearing a t-shirt and a pair of shorts. And it was below freezing because there was a heavy frost on the ground, and I'm lying on the ground. Well, the first thing you do when you come up against that situation is lie on the ground and figure out, is anything broken? The second thing is, am I going to throw up or pass out? As it was, I had just simply twisted my.
I come flying out of the bedroom when I heard that guttural screech, and I'm like, oh my God, are you okay? Well, first thing I did was put the step out because while I was able to see there's a drop off, right? I'm not taking that trip. So I put the step out. I was like, oh my God. I said, are you okay? And he couldn't even talk to me. He was just, I was
catching I was praying.
It's like it knocked the wind out of him and he couldn't even talk to me. I'm thinking, oh my goodness. So in my mind, my first thought is, how am I going to get this guy up off the floor back into the rig? My second thought is, should I not get him off the floor and back into the ring and instead put him in the car and let's go to the hospital? And my third thing was, the office is closed and we can't tell these people that we're leaving or whatever. It was crazy. But anyhow, after a few minutes, we were able to get them back in here. Yeah. It was so cold outside, thank God, because if it hadn't have been, it probably would have been a lot worse. I think the cold air helped with the swelling. And then I had some ice packs in the freezer because we hadn't really emptied the freezer yet. And I had some ice packs in the freezer. So when I got him back in here, then I had him put his leg all the way up and I wrapped some ice around it. And I said, we do not have to take this trip. We can just wait. We don't have to take the trip. And he says, no,
I'm fine. We can do this.
We're going. Yeah, we ain't going right now. Right.
But we did.
No, we stayed put about an hour. Yeah. I said, let's just get your leg up, keep your leg up for a while, wrap it in some ice, and let's see how you're feeling. And I gave him some I think I gave him some Tylenol and aspirin or something. Anyway, and it turned black and blue. And I said, is it broken? He said, no, it's not broken, but it was bad. Oh my God. So anyway, no.
It was fine.
No roof for him. No.
We left the same day. About an hour later, we were delayed by about 3/4 of an hour. And I drove back here to Oklahoma, and it was fine. I was limping around for a little while, but it was fine. There are quite a few comments. Indria says, I hear you. No rooftop shenanigans. I'm not up to any shenanigans.
No.
I am part Irish, but I'm not up to shenanigans.
No roof for him.
Amber says, how was your trip? Now that's just that's just wrong. She goes, I'm just joking. Oh no. Indria goes, oh. Amber says she's also almost knocked herself out with the awning arm so many times. Oh, well, I haven't knocked myself out with the awning arm, and I'll cross that off my list because you've already taken care of that.
Hi, says, Trenton.
Tweety Bird. Trenton, how you doing, man? Nice to see you. And Indria says she accidentally hurt her hand transplanting your plant babies. I think that we probably injure ourselves when we're young and we don't really pay too much attention to it. And then we get a little older to a certain age. And I'm not going to say what that age is, but we're there.
Don't get old. Don't get old. Your RV breaks, you break, everything breaks. Don't get old.
I was talking with somebody the other day and I said, when I wake up in the morning, I think to myself, I'm still a young man. Then I get out of bed and it's Rice Krispies. Snap, crackle, pop. So, yeah.
Don't get old.
Yep.
So if any of you guys are thinking about getting one, or if you have one and you're thinking about traveling and you happen to be coming in this direction, you got my email address at enoughgrace12@aol.com. Just write me and let me know that you're headed this way and when you expect to be this way. Because like I said, 9 lots. Okay, we got plenty. We got plenty of room for anybody that wants to come by and visit. So we know another couple that's in the process of, they got a trailer and they're gutting it and they're trying to, customize it for their own needs and whatever. And she's never lived in one, but her husband has. And so I said, well, if you guys want to come out here for a week or a weekend, and just live here for a few days and see how she likes it. She might not. It's not for everybody. Everybody doesn't like this. Like my daughter's in a large house and she likes her large house. She couldn't do this.
Yeah.
She couldn't do this. So my other daughter probably could. Once her last child leaves home and he's 18. And so once he leaves, she might want to do something like this, but I don't know.
Try to take plants out of plastic bottles using a knife. ER visit wasn't that long.
Ooh, ouch.
How many stitches?
Ooh, that's painful.
Or did they close it up with glue?
Oh, God. That's another story about the glue.
We got stories.
we got stuff. Anyway, you guys, so we wanted to come on and tell you why. Yay! Go Army. That's right. we wanted to come on and tell you guys why we chose RV life. And some people, they use glue. Yeah. Some people, they sell their house and they just go on the road full time. I was looking at this other young couple. They look like they're in their late 20s, maybe.
Yeah.
I thought, boy, my life was so different when I was in my late 20s. But anyway, they're in their late 20s and they're traveling, and they've had some catastrophic breakdowns with their vehicle, and they have nowhere to go. I mean, nowhere to go. And their vehicle needs to go in the shop. And you take your RV, I think they're in a van though. But at any rate, any garage you take it to, they don't want you to live in their garage. They don't want the liability of, number one, their tools getting stolen, and number two, you hurting yourself in their garage. So they're not going to let them stay in that. And they have no money. So they're trying to figure out where they're going to stay while these people are trying to wait for parts to come in to fix their van. And so that's one of the reasons why I probably would not sell my house, because if something went catastrophically wrong, engine failure or something like that,
tornado,
we still have the van to get around in, number one. So we'll probably always have a vehicle, an alternate vehicle. We will never travel without an alternate vehicle, ever, and we will always have another place to go in the event that there's a catastrophic accident or something like that that causes engine failure. We have somewhere to go. We're not going to be homeless. So that's the thing. That's what I would like to caution young people about that are going on the road, or there are a lot of women that are solo on the road by themselves, and they need to make sure that they have an alternate place to be in the event their vehicle has to go in the shop. Because if you're in a state where you don't know anybody, and you don't know how long your vehicle's going to be in the shop, especially if you take it to the dealer, you can forget it.
Boy.
It might be there for several months before they fix it.
RV dealers,
And then where are you going to be? You're going to spend, all your time in a hotel for months. And so, we just have an alternate place to go.
Yes, we're fortunate that we're in a position that if the coach were to break down, we could just take a hotel. But or motel. But the thing is, we do travel with the Toad, so that we can leave the rig in one place and use it for sightseeing around, which is quite convenient. And a lot of people look at RVing as though they think to themselves, why on earth would you want to do that? They look at it as though you're homeless living in your car, which really is not the case.
Yeah, but we're doing this because we choose to. Now, we do realize that there is a demographic out there that are doing it because they've lost their home, with the shutdown and everything, or their businesses were destroyed needlessly, and now they had to let their house go. The stimulus money that they got was not enough to carry them over.
And be upside down
and they're upside down on a mortgage, and they had to go into their vehicles or be on the street, So I get that. I understand that. But this was something that we chose in order to release our asset, that was just sitting there empty. And so we just chose to do this. And it does come with challenges. It is very safe, though. I mean,
we've never had a problem.
We've never had a problem. One of the things that we do to make sure that we're safe when we're traveling is that when we upload our videos, we usually upload them a day or two after we have left that location. That way people can't track us. And they can't do stuff like that to us. Also, one of the things that you can do to make sure that you stay safe is you can check out the area before you get there. You can look at crime stats and stuff like that and see, is this a bad area? It's all online. Is this a bad area to be in? Okay, I won't be parking there, or, what are the statistics over here? Okay, I know not to go there. There's all kinds of places that you can go that is absolutely safe. Nobody's going to bother you or anything like that. There's just things.
And you have to use your common sense.
Yeah.
I remember when we were crossing the country and we came into Illinois, we didn't want to go anywhere near Chicago for obvious reasons. So we were traveling in the southern part of Illinois, and we were traveling along, and there seemed to be a lot of young men sagging, wearing bandanas of red or blue on the corners, and not a lot of traffic. No vehicular traffic, no foot traffic, anything along
it
those
was
lines.
like they own the streets there.
And we were passing along, and we were thinking about a place to stay for the night. And usually we'll call ahead to Club Walmart and speak to one of their customer service managers and get their name and say, do you still allow overnight RV parking on the edge of the lot? And they'll say yes or no, depending upon their local regulations.
Yeah.
So we did that, but the area that we were traveling through, there was a large open field with some basketball courts and stuff like that, and a large parking lot. And the sister said, hey, honey, there's a big parking lot. We could just stay there. And I said, yeah, I think we're in the neighborhood where the guns come out at night.
I was like, oh, maybe not. We should leave.
We're not interested in
We
dodging
should go.
bullets. Really.
Yeah, we should go. We should
But
go.
we have never had a problem.
I'm a beefy girl. I ain't trying to run nowhere. So no, we should
never
leave.
had a problem. And I don't think we've ever had anybody come along and say, chase us off or anything like that.
No.
No,
we've not had any problems. But like I said, we do our research before we go to a place. We look to see what's in that area. Chris will look at an overview map, like a 3D map of the place, what's there and all that. And we've not had any problems. So I think, a lot of it is you just have to just use some common sense. There's some places you wouldn't go in a car, some places you wouldn't go and you wouldn't park if you were in a car.
Yeah.
So you sure don't want to take an RV there. If there's a danger of you getting broken into or whatever all else. And there are some cities like right now that I just would not go to. You know what I mean? If they're burning down business,
Minneapolis,
if they're
Baltimore.
burning down businesses and acting the fool because they think they got an issue and that's how they're going to be heard, I'm not trying to hear it. So, I'm just not going to go to those places. I'm not going to subject myself to that tyranny, and I'm not going to deal with the foolishness. Right. So it's just some places I won't go to.
Yeah. Trenton
what
says,
you got? Okay, go ahead.
Trenton says, do you both drive? Trying to get the wifey to drive. The sister says she'll drive after I'm dead.
When he's dead.
She could drive. There's no problem.
I could drive.
And I've offered to, especially if we're on the highway, if you pull off into a rest area, and then she can pull on to the highway and drive in a straight line and pull off at another rest area just to get a feel for the rig. That's a large part of it, is just getting used to the idea that you're in control of 25,000 pounds of rolling metal. But he
likes to drive. I mean, there are times where we're in the van and I'm like, you want me to drive? And I think it's only been maybe 3, 4, and I'm stretching it 4 times in 13 years that we've been married that he wanted me to drive.
Yeah.
So because he was tired, I say, I'll drive, and
Andrea says basketball court, night, blue or red bandanas. Nope.
I know, right?
I was going, nope, but you know what? Right out of here. Yeah. Amber says, I'm usually by myself, but because I trust my gut, I mostly stay in RV parks for that reason. There are a number of apps which I have on my phone. RV Parky. There's a couple of others. They're free apps to download, and then they'll pinpoint the area. We've stayed at U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. They're great. They always have a place to park overnight, and usually in a scenic surrounding by a dam or a lake or a river or something like that. Any USDA, is it USDA?
No, you talking about
Desmet. Yeah, I think it's U.S.
No.
Department of Agriculture. They built a dam across a valley
and
created a lake.
No, that's the engineers, wasn't it?
It might have been the engineers.
It's the engineers.
But there are a lot of places that it's fine to park overnight. Plus, there's all the BLM land. Now, the thing about BLM land is if you're planning on using BLM land, you can get a sticker for your windshield. And it's good from the middle of September through till the middle of April. So it's like 180 days. Mind you, it'll cost you, I think it's $35 unless it's gone up since then. And then you can stay. That was inaugurated back in the days of the Depression, when you had a lot of people that were on the road looking for work, and you could basically put down your stakes and stay for up to 2 weeks, but then you have to pull your stakes up and travel 25 miles before you put them down again. So there's a lot of free public land.
So Scott says, would you guys consider renting out one of those lots to an RVer? And is there any storage units near you? Yes and yes.
Yes and yes.
Yes and yes. You know, we wouldn't mind, because you know what he does to it? Mows it. That's it. I'm like, why are we sitting here now in all this land? We're just sitting there mowing the land, you know. And anyway, yeah, as a matter of fact, we try to encourage people, come visit or whatever, you know. And we would definitely consider renting out a space. Sure would. And the storage unit.
Yeah, there's some storage units just down the road here.
Yep.
Yeah. We when we're on the road, if we get in contact with one of our loyal followers and viewers, which I noticed that there are 10 people on, but there are only 6 thumbs up. Who's giving us a thumbs down? Come on, people. Anyway, sometimes we'll have people get in contact with us saying, if you're coming through our area, stop on by, which we did with some people that were in New York.
Yeah, some people park near a police precinct if you can. You know, if you can do that without getting a ticket, you know, if you can, yeah. Trenton says that their rig sways. I don't know that we've had in high wind. Trailers will do that. Yes. I know. Yes. If you don't have that stabilizer thingamajigger.
When we purchased this rig, I looked underneath and I realized that it had a steer safe system installed. I said to the guy, "Oh, you've got a steer safe system installed." He goes, "Steer safe? What's that?"
What's that? Yeah, he
steer safe was invented. They sell them out of California somewhere, but it was invented originally for highway trucks. And what it does is it clamps onto the axle and attaches to each wheel. And it has a spring system so that it does 3 things. It reduces rut tracking, which if you're on some of these highways up in the Northeast, you'll notice that there are a lot of ruts caused by heavy industrial traffic. And the rut tracking is you'll get into it, but sometimes it'll toss you around a little bit. And it reduces sway for any vehicles that pass by, if they're not as likely to do this. And the third thing is safety reasons. If you have a front tire blowout, it tracks true rather than veering off to one side or to the other. Not that we'd want to get involved with a front tire blowout, but they actually had a video on, I don't know whether it's still on, where they installed the steer safe system out in the desert, and they had this truck and they dynamited his front tire at 70 miles an hour, and he stopped straight, no veering or anything like that, which could have been a problem back in the day. So steer safe is one of the systems that they have available for rigs, because it's basically a 5-ton chassis. This one's a Ford with a V10, a 5-ton chassis, and then it has the house built on top of it, right? So, but we've never had any problem with sway. We did have one occasion, I'm not sure whether we even have a video about it. We were leaving here, going back up to Canada, and we went north through Oklahoma, then through Kansas, Dodge City, Kansas, and then from there up into Nebraska. Why Nebraska, you say? We hadn't been there before, so we thought we'd go. And we ended up in North Platte, Nebraska.
Oh, yes.
But on the way out, it was raining lightly when we left Club Walmart, and we drove along, and then we hit the road to go north. And as we drove north, the weather started to look inhospitable. And the further we went, the weather started to look somewhat menacing. And the further north we went, it started to look downright, the English would say, mucky weather. And we had a steady wind blowing from the east at about 35 miles an hour, and rain.
And it was raining.
And it was raining hard enough that the sister's sitting here, and the rain was hitting her window, going down
and coming up
the channel and bubbling up
and coming up. I said the rain is coming up the window.
So what I was doing at the time was continuously steering to the right, because the coach was going to the left. And I was keeping a very sharp eye on all the semis that were passing. And if I saw any of them with their inside wheels lifting, that was it. I was going to turn her nose onto the wind and park.
Yeah, that was someplace we were, and they were telling semis to pull off the road.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my God,
Livingston,
this is the day I die.
No. Are you sure we shouldn't stop? And I said, no, we're okay. And I lowered it down to about 40, 45 miles an hour and kept a real close look on it. I mean, I could tell if our tires started lifting off the road, I would be able to tell, but I was watching them because sometimes they travel with a light load and they're that much more likely.
Oh, I heard about them, Trenton. Ooh, he said, I actually had the system put in, but this thing is not working. Lazy Days put it in, broke the AC, and intentionally punctured the hydraulics. Oh,
Lord,
I heard
to them.
I heard about them. That they do not have a good reputation.
You go back to them.
Wow.
And give them the death stare. You know the one I'm talking about? I don't have to trot it out very often, but when I do, people usually comply.
That's terrible. I've heard about them. And where are they? Are they in North Carolina? That, you know what? Yeah, I tell you what. And that's something else, the people you really got to be careful. And, man. Yeah, that's bad. How in the world they break your AC? That's up there.
Yeah, the coach AC.
Oh, the dash AC. I'm thinking, what they just went up there and just Tampa. Okay. Yeah. I've been to Tampa. Yeah. That's where MacDill Air Force Base is. Yeah.
But no, take it back to them and tell them, listen, you put this in and then give them the look. So you know the look I'm talking about?
How long ago was that, Trenton? That's a shame. And I don't know how much it costs to have one of those things put in because ours was in already when we got it. But man, that's terrible. See, and that's, oh man, let's see.
Lawsuit.
2016.
That'll work too.
Oh, okay. No, it's the top of the rig. Oh my gosh.
The top of the rig.
Yeah, they had to climb up there to break the ace.
Oh, they probably drove under a low clearance and victimized.
1,000-yard stare.
Yeah. Is that what you call it? The 1,000-yard stare?
1,000-yard stare.
I've only had to use the death stare on a couple of occasions. Once is when we bought a computer for the Cessna here, and we took it out into the parking lot, and I said, turn it on. I got a little prompting. I said, turn it on. Why? It's brand new. I said, do me a favor, just turn it on. And she turned it on, and it would not boot up.
Brand new
computer.
Oh boy.
So we went back to the store. We were only half a block away. We went back to the store, and I asked to speak to a manager, and the manager came to the counter, and I said, we just bought this computer. I said, yes. He says, yes, sir. I said, the brand new computer, and you told us you had to do something with it before. I said, we took it out and turned it on.
We were in the parking lot. We didn't even get that far.
Turned it on, and it won't boot up. And I said, you can be glad that you're talking to me instead of my wife. I said, she's a veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces, and she knows 7 ways to kill a man in 30 seconds without making a sound. And I was giving him the death stare at the time.
And unbeknownst to me, he's saying all this stuff to the manager. So after I calmed myself down, I decided I need to go in here to this store because I got to get a computer.
She walked in the door.
I walked in the door.
I looked back at him. I went, uh-oh.
And the guy
he really got nervous.
The blood drained out of the guy's face, and I'm thinking, what's wrong with him, right? I didn't know Chris had said that to him. Oh my gosh. Anyhow, okay, you guys. Well, I'm hungry. I gotta do something. I gotta eat.
My gosh, look how the time do fly.
It's dinner time here.
We still don't have 10 thumbs up. We've got 10 people looking and only 7 thumbs up. I don't understand.
How they break it? I want to know, Trenton. How did they break your fan? Were they bringing it out of the garage and it hit the thing, or how'd they do that? That is crazy. Wow. Lazy days. Well, at least they told you. They were lazy. Oh, man. Oh, Lordy. Yeah, so anyway, that's the long story as to Scott says, you guys are conservative. Yes. How'd you know? Have you traveled back to Canada with a self-defense?
I think it's tools.
Oh,
we travel with
travel
self-defense
with tools in U.S. Remember,
Seconds
seconds count. The police are minutes away.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. By the grace of God, we won't find ourselves in any situation where we would need self-defense tools. But, you know, self-defense tools could be a self-defense course as well. So, you know, I'm talking about as far as knowing how to use your hands for self-defense and things like that. I think people have to do what's comfortable for them, whatever they feel they need to do, depending on where they're going to be traveling to, what the laws allow for whatever particular states they're going to. I know, especially the women that are traveling by themselves, a lot of them have things like pepper spray or bear spray or taser. You know, they just have to do. People just have to do whatever they're comfortable doing. We have not ran into any problems with anyone anywhere. We did run up on this Confederate. Come to think of it, Lord Jesus, where were we?
We were in upstate New York.
Oh,
we were parked at Club Walmart and parked well. We
had to go get some stuff. We had to get some supplies.
But there was a group of young men, and they belong to that certain genre, which believes that if you have a pickup truck and you lift it way up in the air and put big tires on it and take the muffler off it, and the crowning touch would be a Confederate flag, of course, that if you have something like that, that makes you somebody in their community. So we didn't pay them any attention, and we didn't think that they were paying us any attention. However, on their way out of the parking lot, they did circle around the rig, blatting their mufflers and waving their Confederate flags. There may have been a yee-haw in there as well. I'm not sure. But we've never had any difficulty whatsoever.
No, that
as far as the self-defense, we watched a video from a young woman who's RVing by herself, and she says, I wouldn't volunteer any information about what I carry on board or what I don't carry on board. But I have heard it said that some people do carry a gun because it's much easier than carrying a police officer with you. So
yeah. So that was the only time. I think that was the only time that it got a little weird for me, because I wasn't raised in the South, and I've noticed, it just seems to me that people that are raised in the South have a completely different way of looking at things, and it doesn't even matter what color they are. A different way of looking at life, because life in the South was different than it was in the Northeast where I was raised. And so it was weird for me to be in the van, in the RV, and we're pulling into Walmart up on this demonstration with all these Confederate flags. I'm thinking, this has gotten really interesting, right? And more interesting than what I got interest in. Let's put it like that. And the other thing was, it's like nobody saw us. As big as we were, nobody saw us. And this was like right at the beginning of, let's tear down the statues. You know, let's spray paint over everything. Let's throw everything away. Let's act like history never happened. You know, all that stuff was going on. And my feelings about it was, you know, you have the right to acknowledge history, just like every other culture has the right to acknowledge history. History isn't always pleasant, but it still happened. It's history.
Yeah.
You know,
we weren't there, and neither were you. So that's what took place.
That's what happened. Yeah. You know, before we got here or whatever. I don't know, whatever. But but anyway, so that was the only time in the 6 years that we've been traveling that got a little weird for me, because I was like, what's going on? I think I'll just sit here. You can go in the store and get the stuff, because I might have to make a break. I might have to jump in this driver's seat and back up or something, you know. But it was fine. It was fine, you know. He went in, and when he came back out, they were all gone. They had all gone. They just wanted their right to have their Confederate
Self-expression.
right, their Confederate flag
And loud trucks.
and to demonstrate the South and chew tobacco or whatever all else they wanted to do. You just go ahead with your bad self.
Yeah.
But that was the only time I felt weird because it was a mental cultural clash, a mental one. It wasn't a real one. It was just a mental one. It was like, woo, but that was it. Anyway, yeah, it was upstate New York. Wow. Look what Trenton wrote.
Yeah.
They gave you a discount.
So I guess.
They gave you a discount. Wow.
Fix your AC.
Man, I tell you. So I'm glad that Chris knows how to do some things. And if he doesn't know, you know what?
Figured it.
There's YouTube. Yeah. Like we look it up, or I'll be looking up stuff. And we were trying to figure out why our breaker kept tripping, our GFCI
our
thing
fault circuit
in the bathroom kept tripping. And then we were looking at videos on how do you find out what the problem is. And they were saying, you got to go down, you got to check every single outlet and isolate it. That one's working. Okay, this one's working. Okay, this one's working. Oop, it tripped. Yeah. So this one's a problem.
Yeah. And
then check the other ones. No problem, no problem, no problem. Oops, that one tripped. Okay, so these two are connected to that thing.
Yeah.
So we'll change the GFCI thing and change the two outlets, and there you go.
Yeah.
And I don't know which one was the actual problem. If it was the circuit tripper thingamajigger in the bathroom, or if it was one of these two outlets, we don't know. But he changed them.
There was one in the galley and one in the wet bay.
Yeah, so he just went ahead and changed them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was upstate New York. Remember the Klan being at the City Hall one year? It was an interesting moment. Mobile text.
We did use a mobile tech on one occasion.
It was for the windshield.
No, we
had
a mobile
he came
tech
here.
Come and fix
that
behind the thing.
You know what? That poor guy, bless his heart, he never charged us.
Yeah, never charged us.
We were like, we were waiting for a bill or something.
Yeah.
And the guy, we
actually called the company and said, you have your guy out here and we haven't received
We haven't gotten our bill yet.
Yeah.
We never got a bill. Never got it. Anyway. Yeah. Yeah. So yes, Trenton, about the extra money. Well, first of all, I'm a veteran, so there's that. You know, yeah, we do have a business in Canada that Chris can work remotely.
Yeah.
And we've been doing that for years.
Yeah.
And then we rented the condo. So I don't intend to work for anyone ever again. No, I work for me. No, I don't intend to work for anybody ever again. So, and then Chris he's got retirement.
Yeah.
So there's that. So, people do work on the road, they're technicians or whatever all else, or they have these online businesses or they depend on YouTube. And I got news for you. If YouTube changes the rules or decide they want to suppress your content, you just might go hungry. And so I don't depend on YouTube. Yeah. I'm not an employee of Google. They don't send me no fat checks. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know how all these other people are getting their $5,000 checks and all. I don't know what they're doing to do all that. But yeah, I ain't never seen nothing like that. Yeah. So not from YouTube. So anyhow.
Yep.
Let me see. Before you go out on your let me see. They've got the whole game working to get extra money. Entrepreneurship. Yes, that's right. And like I said, I try to encourage people to have, 5 different streams of income in case something dries up, right? You can still take care of yourself and you don't have to wait for the government who really doesn't care much about your suffering or your lack, or they wouldn't be sending, all that money to other countries instead of taking care of you. Yeah.
Says the mobile tech before you head out.
Be as self-sufficient as you can possibly be. That was the other thing, really trying to distance ourselves from a lot of these systems that were built really to enslave people, enslave the citizens and keep them, buried in taxes and all this kind of stuff. We know how to grow our own food, even though we haven't done it here. We did a garden here once, but it got so hot that year till it killed off most of our crop. When we were in Canada, we had a really nice garden, and that was ridiculous. We had so much food, we were trying to give it away, and people had, we had these environmentalist people came along because there was a community garden plot near the condo where that we have, and we had a 6x9 or
no, it was about 6x6.
6x6. That
was built with old railroad ties.
That thing could grow a lot of food.
Yeah, we were getting pretty regular up around there.
And we had a lot of food.
Swiss chard, we had corn.
I planted corn. Beans. I had 5 different tomato plants. I had and then that wasn't even the stuff that I was growing in the condo. I had bok choy in the condo and lettuce, leaf green lettuce, and all this stuff. And it was just too much food because we just had a regular apartment size refrigerator. We had nowhere to put it. And we had so much Swiss chard and stuff. I had to harvest it and put it in the bathtub in cold water. I sterilized the bathtub, and then I put all this Swiss chard in the bathtub with cold water. And we were trying to eat that. It was like, it's too much food. So
we were accosting people walking by with their dogs. Hey, buddy, could you use some beans?
Yeah, you want some green beans? You want some green beans? And he planted some green beans, which I didn't know he had planted. I went to the store to get some more tomato cages, and I came back and said, I got to plant these beans. I didn't know he had planted some, so I planted some. Oh, my goodness. We had green beans. Oh, my gosh. It was crazy. And then we were trying to give them away. And the environmental people came by and says, "Oh, your garden. What are you doing?" And I wasn't using chemicals to keep bugs away or anything. I made my own pesticide with orange peeling, cinnamon, and stuff like that. I put in a spray bottle. After I made it all up, I would go out there every couple days and spray all my plants down. And what I didn't use, I poured it in the soil. And I did not have problems with bugs. Yep. Did not have problems with bugs. So
Scott says our daughter Erica and her husband Reed are stationed in Sarasota Springs, New York, U.S. Navy nuke school. Well, he can learn all about it just as long as you don't use them.
Don't drop it on me. Tell your daughter we're friendly, please.
Yeah, friendlies.
Friendlies. Oh my God. Yeah. Anyway, you guys, we're going to go. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Spending some time with us. We really appreciate
for hanging out with us for 2 hours. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And listen, like we said, yes, we are willing to rent some of our space to RVers that want to come. Just give us a holler. My email address is in the description box, enoughgrace12@aol.com. And I will look for your notes there. And also, I do answer all of my emails when they come in. I answer them. Yep. So make sure you check your spam. If you write me and you don't hear from me, it's because you didn't check your spam. Because I answer every single email that I get. Every last one of them, I answer them. So yeah, it wasn't just orange peels and cinnamon for the pesticide. What you do is you keep your orange peels. If you got to harvest them and as you're using them, put them in the freezer till you're ready to use them. But I boil them. I put a little bit of lemon juice, cinnamon, a little bit of like a capful of olive oil, and garlic with the skin and everything in the water. Bring it to a boil. And then turn it down, let it simmer for about 10 minutes, let it sit overnight and cool off. Strain it, put it in a spray bottle, spray your plants down. Yep. You're not using any chemicals at all, and it nourishes your soil.
Improves your yield.
and it improves your yield because your plants aren't getting attacked by bugs and predators and stuff. So,
Star says, nice times. Yep. Yep. Nice to spend time with you.
Yeah. Thank you, Star, for coming by. Appreciate it. Thank you, Indria. Thank you, all of you guys. Thanks, Scott. Yeah. It's been a blast. We're just real people, you guys. So,
yes, we're real people. Yeah.
We're real people.
And we're not taking the shot to become transhumanists.
Yeah.
Transhuman.
Yeah, never mind. Anyway, so we'll see you guys the next time we come on, and make sure you write. Make sure you get this video a thumbs up.
Yep.
If you listen, guys, if you hung out with us for 2 hours, you can give us a thumbs. So, yeah, we like it. Because we have a very small channel, and I don't want YouTube to cancel us because they figure, nobody's watching them. You know what I mean? And that's how they do it. They look at comments, how many comments and how many thumbs up. And they were threatening to cancel some of these small channels. So we're a very small channel, comparatively speaking.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, you guys, we'll see you later. Have a good evening. Have a good evening. God bless you.
We'll probably see you next week. Because we have some other topics.
We made a list of topics that we want to talk about. So we'll probably be on sometime next week. And I'll try to give you a heads up. You guys that are on my other channel, you know I am bad about giving a heads up. Oh, Lord. I'm going to try to give you a heads up before I just pop on here. So we'll see you guys later. Have a good evening. God bless you. Bye-bye.